Welcome back to the Are We There Yet podcast. I am a guy named Akai, but also crowd favorite Miss Rachel Todd and time Potter, definitely a first time listener, Mr. Jayden A. How are you, sir?
I'm good today. How are you?
Oh, what happened yesterday? I'm sorry. I'm great. I'm glad to have you here. We're also again going to try and dive into some of the things that have been going on, or just things that are on your minds. I know Rachel had discussed some things prior. We were speaking before.
Yep. I have my notes right here to guide me in the discussion now because I wasn't prepared last time, but now I am.
It's a podcast. Nobody's ever prepared. We just pod. We just pod about these things. That's why we call you Rachel Pod. And pod out. No? Okay, all right. Anyway, take a stick. We can edit. We have Hollywood magic. So, he disappeared. Okay. Anyway, what I will like to get into is how you guys feel about the week that we have been through and your thoughts on it. Anything you would like to share, insight?
I honestly wanted to say that this entire week has been very rough, in my opinion, due to the fact that many, specifically political events have occurred, which have ruptured our system of democracy as well as equity.
Very powerful, very insightful, and I definitely do appreciate you for sharing that. Rachel?
I mean, it was hard for me because it's like we told y'all they were capable of this and they were planning this, and it was just hard to see it like right there how they just allowed the protesters in the building. Not even the protesters. They're not even protesters because what were they protesting? They were trying to overthrow the government, and the police and everyone just let them.
I don't want to interrupt, but before we get into, I guess, what was transpiring, if we could walk our listeners through, or our viewers through, what it might have been that was going down, or what we're referencing right now. If either of you want to jump in or chime in and self-correct Mr. Ramsey, we're referring to the events that happened at the Capitol. Again, it's something that was pretty devastating to watch, and I know a lot of people have a lot of different feelings about it. But again, as you were, Rachel, just wanted to preface with that.
Yeah, I wanted to add on to that about the attack on the Capitol. I honestly feel like this event has ushered us into a cataclysm that can only lead to so much more pandemonium. You get what I mean? Yeah. And in my eyes, that raid was the quintessential display of how modern supremacy is not a belief, but it is a system. It's been displayed from time to time, honestly, that different protests receive different responses, but honestly, we understand the response that this protest or like riot should have received, but it did not receive that specific response.
I definitely feel you on that. I mean, Rachel, if you have anything to chime in on, you can. I definitely have words on it, but I'd definitely like to hear from you.
Yeah, it's basically what he said. I don't have that. My vocabulary isn't that fancy, except in essays maybe. But yeah, what he said. It was hard to just see it in real life. People literally trying to overthrow the government. One guy was even dressed in what was a Chewbacca costume or something. He had his face painted and everything, and it was just crazy. And then they attacked, like, while they were trying to overthrow the government, they were attacking random Black people on the street who were trying to, get to wherever they needed to go. One lady was in her car, and she was trying to make a U-turn by the Capitol, and they shot her. And I think she had a baby or her child or something in the car with her. And then another lady, she was just trying to get home, I think. And then, like, she was walking past the protesters, and they asked her if she voted for Trump, and she said no. And they literally grabbed her, like, from behind. They, like, grabbed her and then they maced her and they all beat her up just because she said she didn't vote for Trump, and also because they're racist.
I'm sorry that you had to see something like that, and also that we're in times like this where this is just a public display of just I don't know. I don't know. It just Jayden, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to that and speak about the election because the election has a huge tie to this, especially due to the fact that the results wasn't in their favor, which is why it happened in the first place. But honestly, the election was infested with racism. Like people of color were granted the ability to vote over 100 years ago under the 15th Amendment, right?
Mhm.
But that ability has been challenged rigorously time over and over in 2020. A couple months ago, voter intimidation was basically like grossly prominent. Perpetrators were shamelessly toting guns and trying to basically prevent people of color from voting. Now, when it comes to the Capitol, that building hasn't been raided since 1812. Is it really 2021, or are we taking it back 100 steps?
Well, I guess to speak to your point, what do you feel would help kind of push us forward from what hasn't worked in the past? Because I feel like, again, like you said, we've rigorously tried to move through these different points, and it seems like we're always just a step behind.
Um, I feel like honestly, the first change has to be a change in the system, a change in which honestly I feel like, especially when it comes to protests that are fighting for the actual important things, they should not be receiving the treatment that they did several months ago. That type of treatment should be going to riots like this that threaten our democracy and our overall political and social system.
Rachel, do you have any thoughts on what could possibly be a change? Because I know there's, again, just that looming just thought of this is more of the same, and this, like you spoke to those just acts of violence, against people that had nothing to do with any of what they were doing. I mean, what do you feel?
Yeah, basically, yeah, even though it does feel like we're going around in circles because, yeah, this is what happened during like the civil rights era. Like, well, not exactly. Trump's people didn't like attack, Capitol Hill, but voter suppression and everything, just like Jayden said. But I think now it's like really a time where our society says that it's against racism. Our society says that America is a democracy. It's this, that, and the third. It's the American dream, right? We have the American dream here. But now, like, seeing that, we're really not living in this utopia that we've, you know, said that we've built for ourselves. And we're seeing that, the real terrorists all along were, white people who have white privilege, whose white privilege, enabled them to, be this way and act like this. I think now that it's so up in our eyes now, and we see the inequality. Like before, we just had statistics and you know, people, black people getting killed in the media, but now we see the difference in action between what the police did to the Trump supporters, overthrowing the government, and then what the police did to Black Lives Matter. And now we can't deny it. Like Republicans literally, nobody can deny it anymore, else you're just that stupid. I mean, no one's that stupid, but yeah. I mean, some people try to deny it, but you really can't.
Well, I definitely know that, when this is so prevalent and so in our faces, it's something that you can't shy away from, definitely. Jaden, it seems like you wanted to add on or share something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's more so the people in command within our society. I feel like they have the overall influence of people's actions and their specific reactions to certain events. And our first in command, aka our president, has not been reacting well to the election results, which results in their basically their supporters acting in the same fashion that they are.
So now it begs the question: if we have the supporters acting the same way, and you have people that are in power, kind of just allowing these things or this abuse of power, what do we do as in a sense bystanders to all this? It's like we're just looking at this happening, and I mean, for the life of me, I don't know what to do. You know, I mean, other than just trying to stay positive and trying to just be actively viewing these injustices.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like honestly, the most we can do is try to educate people to the best of our ability. But when it comes down to it, it depends on one's own conscious decisions and what they want to do. But I don't know. I just feel like it's not due to ignorance that these people act a specific way, but it's due to refusal to reality and refusal to things that don't
Exactly.
go in their favor. So the second something is against their own ideologies, that's when they tend to respond.
I totally agree with that because with them not being ignorant, they just refuse to believe because they literally like try to blame what they did on, it being an undercover job by Black Lives Matter and Antifa. It just shows how in denial you were about like what you did. And plus, like, even on Twitter, right? I like I'm on Black Twitter now. It was recommended to me. I was laughing at all the memes about this. But like I'm looking at videos of white people who were at the protests. Oh well, not protests. Guys, stop calling it that because it really wasn't. But I'm looking at, videos of white people not being able to fly. They're on the no-fly list, and them literally having temper tantrums because they have to face the consequences of their own actions. And it shows really how white privilege like enables them to like feel like they're above everyone else. Because one guy, I even heard him say, "Oh, you're treating me just like Black people." Like I have the video on here. Like he said, "You're treating me just like the Black people." And it shows that, yeah, like what Jayden said, they're not in denial. They just want to ignore what's happening because they benefit from what's happening to Black people. They benefit from police brutality happening to Black people, and the constant inequality that happens to other people of color. They benefit from that, and they don't want to step down from their power.
Well, to ask, what do you feel is the benefit that they're gaining from that kind of injustice on one end, and on the other end, can you expound on that or just explain more?
Um, to add on to Rachel's response, I feel like it's not that they're gaining anything, but it's more so the fact that they're proving a point and they have the ability to do so, so they continue due to this unjust privilege that they receive over other people.
Okay, that
Yeah,
that I understand. Rachel, if you have more to add.
because like if you look at like the four richest people in the world, right? The four billionaires, it's like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Bill Gates. Who else? Mark Zuckerberg. They're all like white people. And it's like I say benefit because like even though they have a flatline uh you know um I'm thinking cut that out too. Even though they have like certain, not privileges, I forgot the word, even though it's like society treats them like how everyone is supposed to be treated, right? It's still a benefit because like the people at the bottom, the people of color that are being oppressed, we're at the bottom. There's always a hierarchy, and it's always that people at the bottom of the hierarchy doing the most work and getting them up to where they are. You know what I mean? So like so basically they're building their wealth off of us. It's like the immigrants in you know what do they farm, like immigrants, right, coming here to like farm avocados and stuff, right? It's like it's just like that. We benefit off of them farming our food, harvesting our crops, but then we don't want to like give them workers protection rights and stuff, and we don't want to force companies to treat them as if they're actual employees. We want to allow that to happen because it benefits, Americans for them to do that. I hope I don't sound like a pry. Take it away, Jayden, please.
Not at all. Not at all. I'm glad for you to share on that point and go off on that 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 stance of how we are and how we might just possibly be taking advantage of someone else's work and what they're doing for us in this country. But it also seems like a cycle or a circle, like you were speaking to earlier. I definitely feel like the points that you and Jada made are things that we have to kind of push together to really find a change instead of seeing more of the same. Jaden, it seemed like you wanted to share.
Yeah, I also wanted to say, Rachel, I wanted to add on to your response and say that this all ties to the fact that it ties to the argument of ethical billionaires because we know, honestly, in modern society, there's no such thing as an ethical billionaire because billionaires tend to make their money off their workers, and they also basically they exploit them. They monitor their work pace, so they basically lose bathroom breaks and stuff like that. And also, I realized that their shipping is actually not monitored by the government. So anyone that's struck by their vehicles that basically get hit by their vehicles, that record is not taken down. So they're getting away with a lot of different, I don't want to say crimes, but a lot of different accidents and stuff like that.
That is a great point to add into this conversation because I feel like the only time I've really ever heard of someone possibly being an ethical billionaire is probably along the vein of someone like Elon Musk. I'm not sure if you would agree or if you disagree, but I remember him probably giving stock options to his employees, and after their stock shot up, like they were compensated very well. I think he takes very well care of them. Would you say that that's something that we should be moving more towards to kind of change this situation or this narrative?
Um, I feel like um, there needs to be more taxes placed on billionaires because it's a lot of statistics that show that people within this 1%, like 1% wealth tax bracket, tend to basically be able to do write-offs and avoid taxes and end up paying way less than people that are actually earning like only probably like 2% of the money that they receive in 1 month.
Exactly. Like, just to add on, like, to me, there is no such thing as an ethical billionaire because, like, you still, to be a billionaire, like, that's not like, oh, no, $50 million, no, nothing, none of that. It's literally $1 billion. It takes like 1,000 little millions, right? I think, yeah, 1,000 little, I don't know math, but yeah, to make a whole billion. So that's a lot. Basically, like what Elon Musk did, right, with the stocks and everything. Like, I think that's cool that he did that, but we shouldn't depend on these rich people to like save us, right? We should, because we shouldn't give them that much power. That's why, I think there should be like a wealth cap, if you make over a certain amount of money, like, I don't know, let's say 50 million, because who needs more than that? That's more than enough money. I don't know. Shoot, I don't know business, but in economics, but like, yeah, if you make over a certain amount of money, you give the rest to the government, you give the rest to the people, because we shouldn't allow people like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, all of these people with a whole lot of money to be making decisions for us, because it's basically because they weave their way into the government. They have full control over who writes the laws, and then they have laws that directly benefit themselves and people like them. And it's just like a wormhole, a can of worms, right, for a whole bunch of other problems. Exactly, Jayden. He said in the chat, and it's not coming from an accurate perspective. So, yeah, that's basically it.
Well, I definitely think that in the same vein of the actual show title, you want to beg the question: are we there yet? Is this something that we can actually reach within either of our lifetimes? You know, I think personally, I definitely want to see that. Um, Rachel is telling us that we need to see something, but I think we will wait on that. But I also just want to get some kind of, I guess, closing thoughts on how you feel moving forward. What do you think we should expect? And what do you think we should try to do to kind of, again, see some kind of change?
I don't want to sound negative or pessimistic, but we should expect the worst, but also aim for the best at the same time simultaneously, because currently we know there's a lot of riots going on in different areas, and there's even a riot that's been happening in Trenton, New Jersey, which is actually only about probably like a half hour away from me. But yeah, I feel like we should expect a lot of that. And honestly, the best we can do is try to educate those that aren't aware on specific political or social or racial topics in order to basically help with the advancement of our society.
Rachel, if you'd like that,
Hmm?
if you'd like to add a closing thought or a suggestion for what we can do moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. Because, like, I know, like, I've seen a lot of people, like, say, oh, it's not a problem, Black people stay out of this, but it's not like we're just sitting on the sidelines. Like, in a way, this is happening because of us. Why don't they want Biden in power? They don't want him to, like, implement laws that will, allow Black people to basically be able to live. That's how I see it. Because why wouldn't you want a peaceful transfer of power? Like, what is stopping you from, basically just having things go as normal? What is stopping you from agreeing with the Constitution that you guys claim to love so much? What's wrong with y'all? So, and they, like, basically, Black people, other people of color, they're gonna worm us into this. Because, like, I've already seen Black people at the Capitol literally cleaning up after the mess that the Trump supporters did. So it's like in a way, it doesn't involve us, but it very much does involve us. Because, like, white people don't want to deal with their own problems. Like, literally, that's evident with slavery. They didn't want to deal with building their own economy. So what did they do? They kidnapped Black people, made them slaves. And yeah, so basically, I call on the white liberals. Y'all love us so much. Please allow the Black people and people of color who've been fighting for so long to step back and check your mothers, your fathers, your grandparents. Check everyone who is out of line, who is spreading misinformation, and just check everyone for racism, okay? Do a daily check. Because it's like, this isn't our mess to clean up. This is what you guys did. And if you guys love equality and Black people so much, I know there might not be a lot of people listening to it, but for the few white people who are listening to it, just take yourself and the white people around you accountable. Hold yourself and the white people around you accountable. Basically, that's it. Oh my God.
Rachel, amazing point. Jayden, likewise. I think you guys have amazing perspective on the scope of things that are going on. And I just hope that we can, like Jayden spoke to and what Rachel spoke to, give more precedence and educate those around us that might not really know how to move forward with what's going on. I'll definitely say this: you guys are always, always, always welcome to share your insight and thoughts. I hope to see the both of you, or even more, add to this conversation, or many more after that. Um, I think we covered a lot. We definitely did, and I don't want to keep you guys any longer than you want. But if you guys have any more to say, that's cool. But other than that, I think we're here. I think we got it within the small amount of time that we did what we did. And again, thank you guys. Your starfish points will be in the mail. They won't. But again, we definitely thank you guys for dropping by and sharing your thoughts, insight, and always appreciate it. Are We There Yet podcast? We're out.
Peace. I feel like we should do some ending.
If you'd like to be featured on the Are We There Yet podcast, please email Mr. Ramsey. That's Mr. Ramsey at aramsey11 at charter.envisions.org. Thank you, and are we there yet?